Hi everybody, Editing Rose here. I just wanted to let you all know that I filmed the walkthrough of this deck in one take. So it was one full video. It was about 2 hours long. So I've broken it up and you will be getting 5 different videos for this. It's going to be a little mini series thing, walking through the Herbcrafter Tarot 1 year later. So if you found one of these and it's the middle video and you want to see the rest, they are up on my channel. Take a look. I have a full walkthrough of the Herbcrafter's Tarot in one video also. It will be linked above. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the videos. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, but I've been thinking about you all and I hope you're all doing well in my absence. So it's been over a year since I got the Herbcrafter's Tarot and just absolutely fell in love with it. And I wanted to do another walkthrough and just see kind of how I've changed and how the deck and I have kind of grown together. So this is going to be a lengthy video. If you want, grab a snack or a drink and maybe a little furry friend as well, because I've got one. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So I'm just gonna go through all the cards and just kind of babble a little bit. And I'm not gonna put very much pressure on myself. I think I'm going to slowly meander through the cards, and what you all see is what you get. So yeah, the Fool is a card that I honestly haven't seen very often recently, except it has shown up now. It was the back of my deck for this month, for April, and I'm pretty excited to see it again. It's beautiful. This card is gorgeous. I mean, all of the cards in this deck are just, in my opinion, breathtaking, and even more so because they're all drawn. None of these are photographs, and they look like they should be. They're just so detailed and gorgeous. I'm always looking at and drawn to the center, but then if I let myself expand my vision a little bit, the next thing that I pick up on, at least lately I've been picking up on, is the butterfly. I love the purse, and it's nice that the Fool is dandelion because they're so abundant and they are carefree. They float in the wind, they go where it takes them, and they don't have a destination in mind. And I think that that's something that I need to learn to accept a little bit more, is the carefree, float along the wind kind of energy that the Fool and the dandelion can teach me. The next card is the Magician, and the Magician, this card is not one of my favorites in this deck. I just think that there are so many other better ones. I just don't think I like the wood, but it's still a gorgeous card. I mean, the artwork, beautiful. You have the 4 suits here. These are the instruments of the suits, what's being used. You have the lemniscate, and I just realized this right now. You have 2 leaves, and one is pointing up and one is pointing down for as above, so below. You really have a lot in here for what seems to be still a very simple card or image. It is kind of nice that the sunflower is the Magician. I don't think that I have a problem with the flower or the herb that was picked for it. I think I'm more just not liking the background, honestly. I think if the background was more exciting, I would like it. But the thing is, the Magician is all about directing the focus. So of course, it would be quite a plain background, and the sunflower is the main focus, the main energy. The eye is drawn into the sunflower instead of getting distracted by anything that could be around it. So I guess it makes sense why. Next, we have the High Priestess, and this has always been one of my very favorite cards in the deck, just because I love the blue background. And I was playing around with the deck a little bit ago, probably last week or so. And as I was doing that, I looked at this card and kind of put myself in it, and I pictured myself being a young teenager getting into magic and witchcraft for the first time, just using what I have on hand, and it was fun. It was exciting, and it brought that kind of spark and that excitement of learning something new and feeling magic for the first time, and I really liked that. So there could be different takes to this, and this was just a little like mini pathworking exercise. It was just a fun thing. But I love this card. I mean, what's not to love about it? You've got magic. You are sewing it with your own hands. Like, beautiful. And then what comes out from it is going to be really different than probably what you expected, but hopefully good. The Empress is another one of my absolute favorites. I've just always loved the energy that I feel from this card. It feels very wild and free. And if you've ever seen the image of the Queen of Wands from the Anna K Tarot, that's the same energy that I feel from this Empress, where she's in control, but she is confident and secure in her reign enough to let loose and have fun and smile and be playful and carefree. Because life isn't always so serious doing this all the time. It's allowed to be fun, and it's allowed to be exciting and new. Next, we have the Emperor, and the Emperor is actually an energy that I've really started to embrace this year, I think, since getting this card. I have Aries in my chart, so it kind of makes sense why the Emperor energy would be some energy that I feel quite comfortable with. It's that structure and routine, and sometimes it's energy that I hold on to a little bit too tightly. So I think sometimes the Emperor is showing up to remind me to not be so set in my ways. I love this card. I think it's beautiful. And the way that it is so different from the Empress is interesting. So you have, this is a very warm background. It's like a honey color. And this background is cooler toned. And it feels a little bit less personal. It's a little distant. While this one is very free-flowing. But they do look like they go together. You've got the center, and you've got the heart in the center, and then you kind of have these. And look, this is an arrow pointing up. I didn't notice that. I love those. This Hierophant is actually this is the card that helped me kind of work through some shadow that I had surrounding the Hierophant. And now I interpret it differently because of this card. So before, I really thought of it as kind of a little gatekeepy and traditional, but not in the sense where it's good. It's like keeping you in line and using the excuse of tradition to continue bad habits and like generational trauma type things. But with this card, I see it now as passing down traditions, and it's the spoken and verbal oral teachings. It's the oral teachings of a family instead of like you get this knowledge straight from a book. It's, oh, my grandma said this and she taught me how to do this and this is the ways of my family. So I really liked that, where it's a tradition and it's a culture, but it's not, it doesn't feel negative anymore. It feels more neutral or positive leaning for me now, which is a big step. I think that in the past I had mentioned that this Lover's card was not my favorite, and it's starting to grow on me. I do like it more now than I did during my first walkthrough. The way that I've started to see it as it's like a commitment. It looks like there's two rings connecting, and it feels like, yes, you can read it as choice, and yes, you can read it as like true love or whatever, but lately what I've been reading it as is it's asking me to make a commitment or to find what it is that I'm avoiding committing to and shadow work that. So I've really started gaining some new interpretations for this card, and I'm pretty happy with it, especially because it's this card that's doing that for me. I have been thinking about the Chariot. I actually started thinking about the Chariot quite a lot yesterday. I'm currently going through my Chariot year for this year. And the Tower and the Chariot have been really closely linked for me this year. If you haven't seen it, I did make a video kind of about my epiphany regarding this situation. I'll link that up in the cards and in the description box below if I remember to do the description box. But I really love this card, and this is one of the, I think, two cards in this deck where, well, one of the two cards in this major arcana where the altar is taking place up in the sky instead of on the ground. And it makes sense that this Chariot would be kind of a sky altar, because when I think of the Chariot, I think of travel and movement, and you can't really do that unless you know where you're going. And the Chariot in this card, in my imagination or interpretation of it, is using the stars as a guide to bring the rider to where they need to be and where they know that they're going. I think that pretty much without a doubt, this Strength card is my favorite card ever, especially in this deck. It's just gorgeous. I talked about this card a lot actually in my first walkthrough, which I think is my first video ever on this channel. It's just such a powerful card, and the connection that I have personally to garlic even strengthens this card for me and just really helps bring it back to me personally. And I really like that garlic is strength because it will remind me that I don't have to find the inner strength all by myself. I'm allowed, sometimes strength is asking for help and having the strength to admit and be vulnerable and say, I need help, can you help me? And this card helps to remind me that it's okay to do that. And also to offer my help when it looks like others are in need of it. The next card is the Hermit, and I think that this card is beautiful. I think originally thought that this was a wreath, but now that I'm looking at it, it looks like a nest. It's definitely, in my opinion, a bird's nest. And, you know, I like this card a lot. I didn't at first, and it wasn't my favorite, but the Hermit's my birth card, so I don't know where I was going with that sentence. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about this one, and I don't think that I'm going to pressure myself to say something big about every card, but I really do like this card a lot, and it's actually been showing up for me more now. It is my kind of incoming energy for the month of April. That's what it showed up for. So I'll be excited to see how it kind of plays out in my life. The Wheel of Fortune is actually the card that I drew for my year ahead spread for April, so it's kind of nice to see it again. I've been taking a look at it and studying it and thinking a lot about it. I am really glad to see this card show up for me right now because last month felt like a very hanged man month. I just felt stuck. I felt stagnant, and that is going completely against my Chariot energy and drive right now. And it felt like I was at odds with myself. I was really unsure. I was just trying to go in so many different directions, and because of that, I stopped myself from going in any direction, and it just wasn't a fun month for me too much, just in general. So seeing the wheel and having it start moving and having the motion again is really something that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I'm already feeling it as an energetic shift, especially since like the equinox. So it's really exciting to have this motion again, and I will be very excited to see and interested to see how it plays out for the rest of the month for me. I didn't really talk too much about this card, but honestly, this card is gorgeous, and it's really cool when you look at it between the Fool and the Wheel of Fortune, because this is pretty much the midpoint of the major arcana, and it's fun that you have this because you have the kind of smaller altar circle going, but you look at this, you have pretty much the same rocks. You do for sure in this, but look, they're reversed. These two, the rocks on the bottom and the rocks at the top, are the opposite for this one. And you have that transition, and this is the growth of the garden and your life, and then this is kind of the end. So this is the fall for me, where you've picked everything and you're just kind of looking at all you've had. And this is the summer, where everything is thriving and continuing to grow, and you can pick stuff, but you don't have to worry about it emptying anytime soon. The next card is Justice, and I actually really like this Justice card. I think that it, in some people's eyes, is a little bit controversial, and I know that Kelly from The Truth and Story, I think she was the one who mentioned it, said that she wishes that it more touched on the balance between the medicinal side of cannabis instead of focusing on the political aspect of it. And to be honest, I didn't even notice that this said in Congress and was a political document until she pointed it out, I'm pretty sure, in her video. So that's kind of interesting, what we focus on. But yeah, I think I talked about this one pretty in depth in my last video as well, and I don't think that I have too much to say about it. It hasn't really been showing up for me lately, so I wonder what that's all about. Oh, the Hanged One. This energy is completely against what I'm doing and feeling right now, but I love, love, love this card, and have actually been grateful to see it come up in a couple occasions in the past. So it's nothing against the card or the energy right now. It's just my internal feelings and drive is to push forward. So when I see something that is telling me to wait and halt, it does not help my impatience at all. I love that you see I view this as tea, but I think that the book says it's coffee, but you have the roots and then you have the actual burdock plant here and the runes, because this one is associated with Odin. I love this card. I think it's beautiful. I'm always happy to see it. I think it's gorgeous. The death card, I know that I talked about this one a lot in the past. It's honestly not my favorite death card. I just like to see death a little bit more grim, but I do love this card because it's that celebration. And although whatever it is has ended, it's not looking back sadly about it. It's celebrating that you got here from where you were in the past and you've progressed enough to come to this end. And then an excited, hopeful look for the future. Temperance is probably close second in my favorite card ever for this deck because I love tea so much. So of course the designated tea card is going to be my fave. I love the pot. I love that you see every part of the experience. So you have the actual plant and then you have the leaves and everything ground up, and this is what becomes the tea, and then you have the steeping and the final product here as well. So you have the whole process, and it really shows the alchemical side of temperance because it is kind of a ritual and everything that goes with making tea. Oh, the devil. This card has shown up so much in the past year that I've just learned so much from it. I have really taken on new meanings from this devil card and from it showing up for me so many times and for so many different circumstances. And I'm really grateful for it. I love the card. I think that it's so interesting that you have these two black edges. So it looks like you're kind of doing this in the dark. And this is the table in darkness, and this is all you can see at the moment, but it's not all there is. And if you knew that, you'd be able to kind of break out of the cycles that you're stuck in. Oh, my friend, the Tower. This card, if I haven't mentioned it enough, has shown up for me so much. And I'm not even mad about it anymore. I just have to laugh every time the Tower shows up. I did a reading for myself, and for my month ahead reading, this showed up it's the 9th card for me in my Celtic Cross. So it's kind of my external drive and my hopes and fears for the month. And it's very on point. This card has shown up since the summer, since last summer for me. It has shown up a great deal. And it makes sense because my birthday's in the summer, and that's when I entered my chariot year. So I've also entered my chaotic Tower year as well. And at this point, me and the Tower have become quite good friends. I'm still quite averse to sudden rapid changes, and I don't like deciding and all of that stuff, but I do appreciate this Tower card. And I also think that this is one of the more gentle Tower cards that we see from a lot of the other ones. I love that it's actually mushrooms because it's not violent in the sudden change, but it is showing that decay and that life goes on even if what you had planned for it falls apart. This is the second starry sky card in addition to the Chariot, and I absolutely love this card. I love the Bowl of Stones because I am such a magpie and I collect a bunch of stones and rocks and things all the time. So having that be the center of the star is pretty fun. I don't have too much to say about this one. I think that the energy of the star is always one that I will welcome in readings and in life. The moon, beautiful. Not too much to say about this one either. I like that the bowl kind of symbolizes the full moon in addition to the fully bloomed datura. And you have this dark sky, even though the way I see it is it's a dark table. It's not, this isn't actually the sky because there's no stars or anything like that, but yeah, this is a beautiful card. The sun is another one of my close favorites. I just think that this card is absolutely gorgeous. I love the deep, rich colors, the reddish rust color of the essential oil and the flowers. Everything is just beautiful in this card. I will always be happy to see this card. The Judgment card has been renamed to Awakening in this deck, and I actually really like it. I resonate more with the term Awakening than I ever did with Judgment, just because I wasn't religious growing up. I have attended church probably 3 times in my whole life, and that was because I was brought by friends. Like, it's just not an energy that I am familiar with or comfortable with. So having it be changed in this deck and having that Christian view taken away, I appreciate. I also still can get everything that I need to out of this card because you've gone from the beginning and the Fool all the way up to this card where you're having this spiritual awakening. And it is a spiritual awakening, and it can be a personal thing instead of this whole big mass of people waking up. You know, I just like this card a lot. It's okay. The World, I talked about this one a little bit when we had the Wheel of Fortune. I don't think I have too much else to say about it. I just think that it's beautiful. I love the rainbow. I love that you have the plants of the aces all in here. And it's kind of interesting. You have the element as well. So you have the flower and fire for mullein. You have the seashells for water and plantain. You have the bird feathers that have all been throughout this major arcana with yarrow, and then you have little crystals which represent earth, and the nettle being the ace for earth. I just love this card. It's got it all. It has everything you need in it, and yeah,